The storm on the Sea of Galilee. More and more people came to Jesus, demanding his attention all week. This exhausted him physically and spiritually, and after the Sabbath, he said to his apostles, "I am very tired, let us cross to the other side of the lake so we can rest for a day." They departed in the evening with 4 boats. Jesus quickly fell asleep. Midway across the lake, they were suddenly caught in a rising storm. These kinds of storms are characteristic of the Sea of Galilee. The surface of the lake lies more than 200 meters below sea level and is surrounded by high banks, especially on the west side. In some places, steep mountains rise from the lake. During the day, heated air can hang over the lake like in a pocket, due to these mountain walls. When the sun sets and it cools down, a cold airstream can slide down from the mountains into the lake. This is accompanied by short, intense storms that rise suddenly and usually subside quickly. Such an evening storm overtook the boats on this Sunday evening. It was a fierce, very localized storm, with no storm visible on the other shore. The wind was so strong that waves crashed over the boat. The fierce wind had torn the sail before the apostles could reef it, and they were now entirely dependent on their oars, struggling with all their might to keep the boat upright. With the safe shore still 4 kilometers away. Meanwhile, Jesus was asleep under a shelter in the stern. He was very tired when he left Bethsaida, and he had told them to sail to the other side to get some rest. These former fishermen were strong, trained rowers, but this was one of the worst storms they had ever experienced. Although the wind and waves tossed the boat around like a toy ship, Jesus slept undisturbed. Peter was on the right or near the stern. When the boat began to fill with water, he let go of his oar, and, in a panic, rushed to Jesus. He began to shake him vigorously, and when he woke up, Peter shouted, "Master! Help! We are taking on water, we are in a storm. If you don't save us, we will drown." Jesus came out from under the sail and took in the waves and the rain. Then he looked at Peter and the other men who were struggling with the oars in the dark. He turned to Peter and said, "Why are you so afraid? Where is your faith? Be calm." Jesus had barely spoken these reproving words to Peter and the other apostles, asking them to remain calm, when the disturbed atmosphere regained its balance, and the wind subsided. The raging waves almost immediately calmed down, while the dark clouds, which had released a brief downpour, disappeared, and the stars twinkled brightly again. As far as we can tell, the storm calmed down naturally, not because of the words Jesus spoke. But the apostles, especially Simon Peter, always considered this incident as a miracle. Jesus tried several times to explain that his words were only meant for their troubled spirits. That he had not commanded the elements to obey his word, but it was to no avail. His followers always gave their own interpretation to this event. From that day, they insisted on viewing the Master as someone who had absolute power over the elements of nature. Peter would never tire of repeating how even the winds and the waves obeyed him. It was already late in the evening when Jesus and the apostles reached the other side, and since the water was now calm again, they all slept in the boats and went ashore only the next morning. When they were all together again, about 40 people, Jesus said, "Let us go up into the hills over there and camp for a few days, so we can overthink the looming problems that threaten the Father's kingdom here on earth."